They told everyone I gave up. Whispers at cookouts. Half smiles at weddings. She used to date Marcus, the one who almost made it. They rewrote my story before I had a chance to live it. Turned my silence into failure. My absence into shame. But it wasn't failure. It was something bigger. Just not visible yet. Not back then. She left when the account was empty. When the lights flickered. When my name stopped meaning potential. But you know what's funny? She came back. Not for love. For a loan. My name is Marcus Hill. I'm 29 years old. And I live in Austin, Texas. I was always supposed to be somebody. Since middle school, people called me the next big thing. Not in sports, not in music, but in tech. I could fix a broken laptop in minutes. My uncle used to joke, Marcus could hack NASA with a Game Boy. By senior year, I'd already built 2 apps. I got early admission to UT Austin, computer science. Scholarship. Dean's List. The kind of trajectory that made your parents proud at church potlucks. I had a 5-year plan, laminated, and everything. Work at a startup, get equity, cash out, fund my own venture. Boom. Legacy. And then I met her, Rachel Torres. She was studying public relations, but she could have been a model. Always the center of the room. Her laugh? Sharp, magnetic. When she looked at you, it felt like being chosen. We met in the tech library. She couldn't figure out how to reset her student portal password. I heard you're the laptop whisperer, she said, smirking. She liked ambition. She liked how I spoke about building an empire before 30. She said, "You're going to change the world, Marcus. I want a front row seat." And for a while, I believed her. My first real job offer came from a fintech startup in San Francisco. Big salary. Health insurance. Equity. But I turned it down. Crazy, right? Instead, I stayed in Austin to build my own thing, a financial literacy app for Black and Brown communities. No paycheck, just vision. Rachel smiled at first. Said she admired the hustle. She'd bring over tacos and sit beside me while I coded until 2 a.m. But when months passed and nothing launched, the tacos stopped coming. The visits turned into calls. The calls turned into silence. I remember the last fight. I had just told her I had to move out of my 1-bedroom and crash with my cousin Tyler until I found another client. She crossed her arms and said, "You're 26, Marcus." I didn't sign up to date a broke visionary. That word, broke, hit harder than I expected. She said it so casually, like it was just a fact. Not a phase. Not a challenge. A label. We didn't officially break up. She just faded. Unanswered texts. Voicemails left on read. I remember standing in my cousin's kitchen, eating cereal out of a coffee mug, and scrolling through Instagram stories. Rachel was in Cabo, with a new guy, wearing the necklace I bought her from our first Christmas together. And then came the pity. Family friends. Former classmates. Even my older brother. She's just finding herself. We don't talk about Rachel anymore. Marcus is still working on that app thing, right? It wasn't judgment. It was worse. It was dismissal. No one said it, but everyone thought it. He blew it. I tried applying for jobs again, but something in me resisted. I couldn't go back to building someone else's dream. So I stayed broke. I stayed building. Quietly. Alone. No press. No posts. No girlfriend. Just me and my secondhand laptop, coding in the corner of a shared apartment. I'd go entire weekends without speaking to anyone. Just lines of code, error messages, and the occasional ramen noodle dinner. But something inside me was shifting. The silence stopped hurting. The judgment lost its weight. Even Rachel's name stopped stinging. And one morning, as I watched the sunrise through a cracked window, I whispered to myself, if they can forget me, I can start over without them. And that's what I did. Starting over didn't look like a grand comeback. It looked like cleaning someone else's apartment for $30. Fixing cracked iPhones for kids who broke them playing Roblox. Copywriting Craigslist ads for small businesses in exchange for food. That's how it began. Not with applause. Not with inspiration. But with necessity. I told myself, just make enough to buy time for the dream to breathe. One day, I stumbled on a flyer at the corner laundromat, looking for someone to teach computer basics to seniors, Tuesdays and Thursdays, $18 per hour. It was taped to the vending machine, slightly torn, ink bleeding from moisture. I took it. They called it the Community Click Project. Just 10 folding chairs, 7 laptops older than me, and a room that smelled like pine disinfectant and old carpet. My first class had 5 people. 3 couldn't open the browser. 1 kept double-clicking everything until the screen froze. And then there was Mrs. Green, 82. Always wore a purple shawl. Had arthritis in both hands but refused to quit. "This machine hates me," she muttered, squinting at the trackpad. I smiled. "Nah, it just doesn't know your magic yet." We worked every Tuesday. At first, she just wanted to learn email. Then she asked about Zoom. Then one day, she brought in a photo of a boy. My grandson. Haven't seen him in years. He's in Alaska now. I taught her how to set up a Facebook account, connect to Messenger, and start a video call. The following week, she walked in with tears in her eyes. He called me Nana. That's what he used to call me when he was little. She hugged me like I'd stitched something back together that had been broken for a long time. That moment stayed with me. It didn't make headlines. It didn't change the algorithm. But it mattered. I started designing a simple interface for seniors. Big fonts, minimal buttons, voice commands. Called it Silverlink. No investors. No startup mentors. Just me, YouTube tutorials, and a vision. In between cleaning gigs and tech classes, I coded. By month 4, I had a basic version live. Mrs. Green became my first tester. Then she told her friends at church. Then someone's niece told a news blogger. I didn't know what organic traffic really meant until I saw the analytics. 148 downloads in a single weekend. Then 230. Then 400. I added a feedback form. People wrote things like, "My dad just video called me for the first time." This made my grandma smile again. I wish we had this before my mom passed. There were no champagne bottles. No confetti. Just a cheap desk, a busted chair, and a man quietly healing through purpose. I built a team, just 2 folks at first. 1 developer in Ohio, 1 marketing intern from Philly. We worked odd hours and paid ourselves in coffees and gratitude. But we believed. Every bug fix. Every update. Every 5-star review. It was redemption in pixels. People started calling me founder. My inbox started saying inquiries. LinkedIn DMs turned from recruiters to podcast invites. But in my heart, I was still Marcus, the guy who got dumped over an empty wallet. The memory kept me humble, grounded. Even as I launched version 2.0 and watched the numbers triple, I still taught those Tuesday classes. Still showed Mrs. Green how to change her password when she forgot. Still remembered how it felt to be invisible, to be called potential and then abandoned. So I stayed human, stayed small inside, even as the vision grew louder. And every now and then, I'd wonder where Rachel was. But I never checked. Didn't need to. Because while she had walked away from a broke man, I was becoming someone that money couldn't measure. Silverlink wasn't a unicorn. It wasn't flashy, but it was working. 6 months after launch, we hit 11,000 active users. A nonprofit from Chicago reached out to license the platform for their retirement homes. Then came a small grant, $25,000, from a community tech accelerator. We used every cent wisely. Upgraded servers. Hired a UI designer part-time. Started working on a tablet-specific version. We created a help desk line that seniors could actually call and talk to a real person, no robots, number 7-layer menus. The numbers weren't viral, but they were real. We onboarded 1,200 seniors in November alone. 94% retention after 3 months. Average user session? 36 minutes. People were connecting, reconnecting. One user, a 74-year-old jazz musician in Detroit, used our video feature to record music lessons for his grandson in Boston. Another, an old rancher in El Paso, learned how to order groceries online for his immunocompromised wife. We had something. Something that wasn't sexy, but mattered. But the more Silverlink grew, the less my own people seemed to notice. At my cousin's wedding, I overheard a conversation between my aunt and some old neighbor. "What's Marcus up to?" "Oh, still doing his little computer thing." "That's cute." He always was the artsy type. At Christmas, my older brother Brandon leaned back in his chair and said, "I mean, it's great what you're doing, man. But when are you going to get a real job? You've got a degree in computer science, for God's sake." I didn't argue, didn't correct him, just smiled and took another sip of cider. Because to them, success had a uniform. Suits. Salaries. Brand names. Not software for the elderly. Not community tools. Not silver whatever you call it. One night, I went to a friend's birthday party in Houston. Rachel was there. She didn't see me at first. She was standing by the bar, laughing with some guy in a blazer who looked like he rehearsed his charm in the mirror. Someone introduced us. "Marcus Hill," I said, offering my hand. Her face shifted. Just for a second. "Oh, Marcus. Wow." She blinked, then smiled like we'd run into each other at Whole Foods. "You look good. Doing well." "Yeah." "Building something?" I replied. She nodded like she was proud. But not really. The guy she was with asked, "What do you do?" Before I could answer, she cut in. "Oh, Marcus teaches, like, tech stuff. For older folks. It's kind of like a startup nonprofit hybrid thing, right?" I laughed inside. She still didn't get it. Still framed me in a way that wouldn't threaten her own reflection. I just nodded. "Yeah." Something like that. We parted ways. No hard feelings. No old sparks. Just two people who once shared dreams, now strangers wearing borrowed words. Back home, I opened my laptop and reviewed user feedback. This app gave me back my dignity. My grandpa smiled today. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means for our family." I let the words soak into the quiet. Not one came from someone who knew my last name. Not one came from my blood. But somehow, those anonymous lines meant more than 1,000 likes from familiar faces. I used to chase recognition. Now I just protect impact. My work wasn't trending. It wasn't shiny. But it was solid. Rooted. Steady. And as Silverlink crept past 22,000 users and got its first mention in a niche tech blog, I found myself sitting in the same worn chair, drinking cheap coffee, and whispering to no one. They don't need to see it. I just need to keep building. Because even if my name never echoed in family halls or reunions, it was starting to echo in places that mattered more. In homes that hadn't seen laughter in years. I was proud, even if no one clapped. It was a Friday. Gray skies. Cold wind. One of those days where your fingers stay half numb, even indoors. I had been invited to speak at a local community conference, small venue, mostly nonprofit leaders, tech for good types. I almost didn't go. I had no slide deck. No fancy pitch. Just stories. Still, I stood behind the podium and talked about digital dignity. How the elderly are the most underserved users in the tech world. How technology shouldn't leave people behind just because they can't swipe fast enough. Afterward, a woman approached me. Late 30s. Dark hair. Gold bracelet. Soft but serious eyes. "Hi," she said, offering her hand. "I'm Elena. I don't usually come to events like this." I smiled. "Glad you did today." She hesitated. I needed to say, "Thank you." I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "For your app. Silverlink. I didn't know it was you behind it. I didn't know anyone was behind it. I thought it was some big company." My chest tightened, curiosity sparking. She continued, voice trembling slightly. "My father, he passed away last month. He had Parkinson's. Could barely speak by the end. But thanks to your platform, he was able to FaceTime my daughter every night. He couldn't hold her, but she knew his face. She knew his voice. That's everything." I was stunned. She dug into her purse and pulled out her phone. Opened the photo gallery. She showed me a video of her dad, frail, smiling, waving at a screen. A toddler giggled on the other side, saying, "Hi, Grandpa." "He died with her voice in his ears," Elena whispered. "Because of you."
I didn't know what to say.
I had built Silverlink from a folding table. For people like Mrs. Green. For people like me, forgotten, bypassed. But I had never imagined this. And then her words hit harder. "You have no idea how many families you've touched. We talk about Silverlink in our caregiver groups all the time. I tell everyone it saved my dad's last year."
She paused.
"Wait, Marcus? Marcus Hill?" I nodded slowly. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God. Rachel used to talk about you." I stiffened. "She used to date you, right? Back in college?" "Yeah," I said cautiously. "She's my fiancé's cousin," Elena said with a soft laugh. "Small world. She mentioned you once. Said you were smart but kinda lost. Said she felt bad you never figured things out." I said nothing. Elena continued. "She's been through some things too, I guess. But wow, if she only knew." She looked me over, smiled gently, then said, "Thank you, Marcus. Not for what you built, but for not giving up on it. You gave my family something priceless." She walked away before I could respond. I stood in that hall alone, surrounded by rows of empty chairs and flickering lights. Heart full, eyes wet. The applause had stopped hours ago, but inside me something had clicked. Not because I demanded attention, not because I marketed myself right, but because the truth walked in by itself and refused to stay quiet. That night, I didn't celebrate. I didn't post about it, didn't text anyone, didn't call my brother or mention it at the next family dinner. Instead, I opened my laptop, logged into Silverlink's admin panel, and made sure our server was ready for growth. Because when recognition finally comes, you don't chase it. You let it sit quietly beside the work that never needed it. The strange thing about recognition is that it doesn't always come with a spotlight. Sometimes, it arrives in whispers. In small, almost forgettable gestures. Like a door left slightly open. About a week after the conference, I got a card in the mail. No return address. Just my name in cursive. Inside. "Proud of what you've built, Mom." No calls. No dramatic apology. Just that. A single line in her voice, wrapped in careful handwriting. I stared at it for a long time. My mom had never been cold, just quiet. After Rachel left, she had fallen into the habit of checking on me without checking in. I never printed that card. Never framed it. I just kept it, tucked behind my desk lamp, like a small proof of evolution. Brandon, my older brother, texted next. "Yo, just saw some old dude using your app at Pop's clinic. You made that, right?" I replied with a simple, "Yeah." He didn't follow up.
Didn't say much.
But the next time I saw him, he introduced me to one of his clients as my brother, the tech guy who helps seniors go viral or something. Progress. I even got a wedding invite. Rachel's. Elena must have told her she ran into me. The envelope felt strange in my hands, like a letter from a parallel life. I didn't go.
Didn't need to.
But I did RSVP. Just wrote. "Wishing you all the happiness you once wished for me." No sarcasm. No bitterness. Just peace.
And I meant it.
You'd think the big moments define healing. But it's the little ones. The unremarkable Tuesdays. The way your heart no longer flinches when their name comes up. The way you stop rehearsing what you'd say if they ever came back. I still walked the same streets in Austin. Still past the library where Rachel and I first met. But now it just looked like a library. Not a memory. Not a scar. Just bricks and windows. One evening, after another long day working on our newest feature, live group rooms for families, I visited Mrs. Green. She was in hospice care now. Lungs failing. Voice faint. I brought her flowers. She lit up with a tired smile. "Look at you," she whispered. "Still chasing ghosts through the internet." I chuckled.
"Nah.
Just helping people talk to their grandkids." She took my hand. "You helped me live long enough to matter again. Don't ever forget that." That night, I sat in my car and cried for the first time in months. Not out of sadness. Out of release. They say closure comes when you get the answers. But that's not true. Closure comes when you stop needing them. Rachel never apologized. My family never fully understood. But I woke up every day with a sense of rightness in my bones. I knew who I was. I knew what I gave the world. And I knew it cost to build it when no one was watching. It wasn't pride. It was peace. Now, when people ask what I do, I just say, I connect people. No explanation needed. Because the ones who really get it, they don't need the pitch. And the ones who don't, they never mattered as much as I thought they did. If you've ever been left behind for not having enough, this story was for you. If someone walked away when your pockets were empty, but never saw the gold you were mining inside, I see you. I was the guy who got dumped for dreaming too long, too slow, too quiet. The one who slept on floors with ambition for a pillow. The one whose name vanished from group chats and family dinner prayers.
And now,
I'm still quiet, still building, still invisible to some. But I've built something that helps strangers say, I love you one more time. That's enough for me. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been someone's backup plan until they needed a bailout? Ever watch someone laugh at your struggle, then knock on your door with desperation in their voice? I didn't slam the door, didn't scream, remember when you left me? Because you know what's more powerful than revenge?
peace.
Peace that doesn't need validation, that doesn't post receipts, that doesn't send I told you so texts at 2 a.m. Real growth is silent. It doesn't show up to the party. It becomes the reason people wish they hadn't left early. To anyone listening from a small apartment, to the dreamers with overdraft accounts, to the quiet creators who are still unseen.
Keep building. Don't build to be watched.
Build to heal. Build to remember who you are. Build to reconnect one grandmother with her grandson. Because the ones who walked away, they only saw the foundation, not the house you are becoming. Where are you watching from? Tell me your story. Drop a comment below. Not for likes, not for numbers, but because someone else is sitting where you were. And they need to know they're not alone. This channel isn't about going viral. It's about going real. It's about stories that don't need permission. About second chances that never make headlines. About becoming whole, quietly. Thank you for listening. More stories like this are coming. Stories of quiet victories, unexpected comebacks, and people like you who refused to give up when everyone else walked out. Until next time, keep your head up and your heart steady, because your story's not over. It's just finally being heard.